Hi everyone, welcome to Korea TESOL DCC Summer Symposium in the year 2020, Reimagining Language, the Future of Education and Teaching. This is the plenary address given by me, Miranda Wu. I am an early career researcher, also a new PhD graduate in Woosong University this year in Daejeon, South Korea. I'm honored to be invited to speak for the symposium. Currently, I am employed by the Business English Department of Hunan University of Technology and Business in People's Republic of China. I remember last year, this time, also in June, I was the closing keynote speaker of another symposium organized by Woosong TESOL-MALL. Today, I'm going to introduce 3 of my recent studies themed on language learning with artificial intelligence. My research interest has been in artificial intelligence and linguistics, instructional technology, academic mobility, English-Chinese interpretation, international business management, and Pearson Test of English academic. For today, language learning with artificial intelligence, the study will explore the concept of instructional technology from 3 different perspectives and the place of artificial intelligence in relation to it. First, a review of instructional technology research trends and artificial intelligence in language education. Second, a perception survey is taken into account regarding the continued use of the English language in light of the rise of artificial intelligence. Thirdly, the place of AI in the language classroom and a resulting empirical investigation are empowered by being able to use any device anywhere with anybody. And the use of technology is redefining language education. So AI is transforming our offices and our homes, how we work, and how information is delivered to us. So how does the use of technology impact language learning? Students should know how to exert fundamental technological knowledge and skills in what is increasingly become a world where multilingual skills are required, and one where advances in AI should be applied to achieve the best learning outcomes for students while they are in school, with the societal value of such software systems recognized in terms of providing support for learner autonomy, lifelong learning, and the development of creativity, metacognition, collaboration, personal pursuits, and productivity. This is important to understand as language education has undergone tremendous changes over the last decade, and with AI technologies becoming more mature and omnibearing in function and influence, they are increasingly impinging on all walks of life. How then will AI technologies affect language development and education? How will people perceive AI technologies and their influence on English and other languages, such as Mandarin? Well, if the influence is real and positive, how can instructors incorporate AI into language classroom today? In today's speech, I would like to seek a window on the answers to such questions and present a view where the influence of technology on language education and the impact of AI, combined with the increasing economic strengths associated with Mandarin, will likely impact the future of English being a predominant language. It will also see the empirical evidence support the use of AI-powered instructional technologies to enrich the learning and teaching process by extending instructional and cognitive skills of learners. So to this end, for today's speech is to review the relationship between technology and language learning, and how scholars interpret its place in the literature. The focus is on how technologies can be applied to facilitate optimal pedagogy to support language learning outcomes and to improve understanding of artificial intelligence and natural language processing technologies so as to garner feedback on how these tools can then be best utilized in language education in ways that establish a cognition and technological integrated linguistic support system. It is such support system that can then be used to engage all stakeholders in the effective delivery of education. Specifically then, the intent of today's speech is to establish how technology redefines language learning and to predict the future of English language use in regards to the rise of artificial intelligence, and to provide empirical results of the use of AI-powered software to demonstrate how technologies can be successfully embedded in the language learning classroom. And I would like to introduce the framework. The investigation into how instructional technology is changing the way languages are learned and taught is considered using topics addressed through this tri-exploration related to the interconnections between language learning, AI technology, and linguistic cognition. So in the first study, there is a review of research trends and artificial intelligence in language education from 2010 to 2019, which provides insight into those most prominent technological and research themes emerging from the literature. This serves to illustrate the importance and place of AI in such work, as well as where the future trends of such research may require us to tread. In the second study, the perception survey uncovers the role of AI and machine translation in altering the need and desire for the learning of languages, and perhaps who will be speaking to and how we will be using language to communicate in the future. Well, finally, in study 3, it seeks to outline the incorporation of instructional technology and the utilization of AI-embedded software and apps in the language teaching classroom to show how such tools can provide a key cognitive model for language acquisition. Allow me to introduce Study 1, a review of research trends of artificial intelligence in language education. First of all, the definition of instructional technology. By Razor and Dempsey in 2012, instructional design and technology IDT was brought up, is the study, application, or design of a process to teach and facilitate learning through deliberate use of technology to enhance discovery and performance. The sheer number of articles that were devoted to emerging technologies over the years testifies the interests in supporting and supplementing teacher-fronted instruction in various means. The research findings, Google Trends data from 2010 through 2019 was downloaded as a monthly data set filtered by artificial intelligence in language education with comparison set to publication. The data was then structured yearly and standardized using the Z-score method so that the two trends can be compared. The Z-score, meaning the new data, and O is the original data. So the results are presented in the figure. As we can see, a correlation was found between the two variables. The correlation was 0.820, and that signifies from a general trend, the two curves synchronize with each other. We can see the blue and red line, and they are most of the time synchronizing. Of note, for the period of 2013 to 2014, AI-themed publications temporarily rose above that of the Google Trends search data for AI in language education, with rapid advance in NLP publications, especially on neural network, RNN use in speech recognition, likely be the cause of this rise. However, a more conspicuous rise is observed since the year 2019, with AI entities appearing more in publication than in Google Trends search. And the next is the correlation table, which we can spot 0.820 and significant at 0.004. Well, the next finding is the first 10 research themes. As can be seen, the first 10 research themes that emerge ranked by number of articles. From the table, it is evident to see that computer-mediated communication, CMC, covers a number of 24, and computer-assisted language learning covers number 13, and they are quite dominant. They are associated with instructional themes. For example, speaking, which we find 33 articles, and assessment and testing, 21, teacher education and training, 19 articles, and also 15 others focus on grammar. Task-based language teaching, TBLT, there are 10 articles researching on this. Technology type, 12 articles. Perception and attitude. Mobile learning remained less investigated but more examined in this decade than other technological and instructional themes. And we can find from the literature that the advocacy of instructional technology or media started with a blend of instruction and media, moved to an embedding tendency in language classrooms, and then finally become the embodiment of instruction, design, and technology. In this table, and we provide timely displays of AI-powered technologies in language instruction, and it's evident that a perspective revolving around updating digital literacy and optimizing the learning process and maximizing study outcomes are of great priority. So the research surrounding AI and NLP technologies is advancing. For example, AI big data, conversational agents or chatbots, eye tracking, human-computer interaction, intelligent personal assistants, massive open online courses, open educational resources, social networking, as well as translating tools. Most core and CMC studies seem to focus on either describing the affordances of particular types of technology or measuring their effects on students' affective reactions, such as increased motivation and satisfaction in the learning process. Although the description of technology use and learner experience can be useful and necessary, the extent to which instructional design and activities have supported the technology or the actual amount of motivation increased by the application of technology remained less measurable and underexplored. Although one might make the argument that increased motivation and options for self-selecting study activities will lead to deeper engagement with language, more time on task, and thus increased proficiency. However, for most technologies, increase in proficiency from an empirical perspective has yet to be demonstrated. So the use of technology in language instruction is not new. However, researchers have concentrated on the affordances and efficacy of technology, examining results in a descriptive manner and less so in terms of efficacy of language technology to build meta-linguistic knowledge, or unfolding the process of instruction with technology being positively effective in forming procedural ability, particularly in terms of neuroscience and evaluating the use of declarative memory systems in such contexts. So the research findings in terms of cognitive memory systems can provide feedback on the use of technology in language learning for the better, especially when using procedural memory, improving speech in complexity, fluency, and accuracy. So future research may seek to melt the edges of cognition, psychology, and computational linguistics. And this will see the instructors being able to demonstrate an increasing use of AI technology in the teaching process. In Study 2, we investigate the use of English language in light of the rise of artificial intelligence. AI innovation is one of the driving forces that make people feel important when learning English because most of the controls and commands of modern electronic devices are in that language. Additionally, AI machine deep learning is affecting the way we use languages. Learning a new language takes a massive amount of time and effort, and learning it later in life is not the same as learning one's native language. So AI deep learning and machine translation can potentially move us from a single language future to one where we can all rely upon our native language. So from those responding to the reception questionnaire distributed for the survey, 97, there are 480 people out of 500, hope that in the future they will not have to feel the need to learn a language that they do not learn naturally. It should be noted that this is different to wanting to learn about the language and culture of another people. AI disruptive innovation makes English or potentially any language less likely to remain as the main language for international communication. AI allows us to use electronic gadgets and smartphones with interfaces in any language that suits us. Recent innovations like these have been so disruptive that they are going to revolutionize the way that English and other languages are taught. For example, using all kinds of online media services such as YouTube, social media services such as those provided by Facebook and WeChat. For methodology in this study, we collect data using an electronically delivered perception questionnaire undertaken by 500 individuals on their perception of English language, AI-powered machine translation, etc. Also, the rise of China and the place of Mandarin. Participants were scattered across 62 nations and had been more or less exposed to English language learning for an average of 25.95 years, according to the survey data. We used various kinds of social media to express the online survey, such as Facebook, WeChat, LinkedIn, and KakaoTalk in South Korea. And here is the perception question in part. We found that AI is not only changing our lifestyle, but also altering the ways in which we are teaching languages. The idea of radio broadcast, newspapers, and TV programs being translated and understood, no matter what languages they are in, would likely excite most people in the world. AI technologies may soon provide people with the choice of turning away from the learning of any language, seeing them able to rely upon the use of their native tongue. The advantages that this potentially offers are those that see such speakers free to communicate in their own language with less pressure and in full command of a natural vocabulary and phraseology. On the other hand, humans may still choose to learn additional languages, such as English or Mandarin, as they may not want to relinquish control over their expression and become dependent upon AI machine translation. However, these surveyed for the research undertaken for this speech predominantly fancy the idea of AI machine translation, particularly since it carries with it the potential for life to be made easier and for their thoughts and expressions to be more widely understood, both by the humans and machines. So in this context too, AI could potentially see the world become more multilingual rather than less so. This study, English will not retain preeminence in the fourth industrial revolution era. Although language is constantly changing, English is the dominant language among the world's 7,000 languages. Its power coming from the rise of Britain and the United States of America in the 19th and 20th centuries. English has many dialects and different accents worldwide due to the colonization hegemony of Britain and the USA. Of those surveyed for the research undertaken, 93% revealed that they feel confident to travel to a country they have never been to if they speak English because they will be able to talk to more people even though they do not know them. AI may be a threat to the survival of the behemoth languages such as English as a global language because machine translation technology will one day be able to translate every language into another. AI technologies are advancing at an extraordinary speed. So to some extent, the increased use of AI machine translation may make it unnecessary to learn any additional languages because machine translation powered by AI will potentially become as good as human translators in terms of language ability scales. And we will find a flexible, multilingual future world alongside AI technology. Those who speak English alongside other languages will outnumber English native speakers. And in study 3, we examined the place of AI in the language classroom. We did this research because there is a global Chinese learning interest and Chinese language beginners dilemma. The Chinese language population is on the rise in recent years. However, many complain that Chinese language is one of the most difficult languages to learn because it has separate systems for pronunciation called pinyin and the writing system named Hanzi. And when they start their language and cultural quest with great passion and confidence in learning pinyin for the first months of learning process, however, many of them would soon find the dual separate Chinese language systems for pronunciation and writing very challenging, and they hesitate in devoting time and energy in acquiring both. So this learning journey would become low in accomplishment and less efficient in speaking and writing as time goes by. It would even hamper the entire Chinese learning due to the high drop rate of systematic Chinese learning after the pinyin process. So the pinyin learning is similar to learning many other languages, which also can be marked with International Phonetic Alphabets, IPA, whereas recognizing Hanzi requires more memory and cultural awareness for better understanding in the semantic level. So for study 3 here, we examined the place of AI in the language classroom by encouraging students to use WPS and SOGO pinyin software on their computer or mobile phone to produce sentences using the WH question pronouns to try to build up a cognitive connection between the phonetic and the writing system of Chinese language. Language exercise lasts for 30 minutes with the purpose of encouraging students to ask questions using a set question pattern. The whole process is mingled in a game named Truth or Dare, and in the first 5 minutes of the activity, students need to produce a similar question to the example provided along with a minimum of 3 supportive questions. The main question students develop should be one that can ask each other and one that can be used in a different situation to the example provided. The teacher would provide support as the students work on developing their questions. And for this study, we design note-taking with computers, mobile phones, using the software, AI-powered software, to build this cognitive bond. And we apply visual working memory training with CLT, communicative language teaching method, into the instruction in 3 weeks. And we have 15 students from South Korea. The prerequisite for this study is the Chinese pinyin proficiency. And here you have the example. The structure provided by the instructor can be Chinese subject, 主语, 有没有, the predicate, and 动词, verb, and then object. 你有没有? 你有没有? And in English, similar, have you ever done something? Have you ever done something? So the example can be, 你有没有打过群架? Have you ever been in a group fight before? And the supportive questions can be, when was it? Who did you fight? Why did you fight? But the students need to respond this in pinyin and type in their mobile phone or computers using the software and app and try to look in the vocabulary or ask the instructor how to write the pinyin for that particular vocabulary. Then they would generate the sentences like 你什么时候打的群架? When was it? 你们打了谁? Who did you fight? 你们为什么打群架? Why did you fight? Another example is a choice question. Students can choose to answer yes or no. So if yes, they reply with 有. If no, they reply with 没有. The exercise is completed using a truth or dare game style format. Students create and then ask WH style questions. A student answers the question truthfully, or they may choose to dare their partner to do something instead of answering. So the examples of student linguistic production follow here. 你有没有一个人看过日出? Have you ever enjoyed a sunset alone? And the second sentence here is quite interesting. It's asked by a student to another who has never been punctual to class, always late for class. So his question was, 你有没有准时上过课? Have you ever been punctual for classes? Ever. Or there are a boyfriend and girlfriend in my class before. 你有没有跟别的女人吃过饭? That was exactly the sentence asked by the girl. Have you ever eaten a meal with another woman? 你有没有吃过狗肉? Have you ever eaten dog meat? Something like that. Quite interesting. And students answer and try to dig for more information, try to communicate with these provided sentence patterns using their digital gadgets, and then Sogo Pinyin, try to type and communicate with each other even after the study. And in this study, we found a correlation between prerequisite pinyin and final assessment. The correlation spotted was 0.977 significant and 0.0 level. However, there is no obvious significance between the final assessment and the length of time spent studying the target language. For this study, we combined the stories of 3 studies in one. It serves to place a focus on reviewing how AI-powered technologies are perceived and applied in language learning and instruction by reviewing research trends in relation to artificial intelligence in language education to illustrate the importance and place of AI in such work, as well as exposing those future trends that might need to explore, and then examining whether a single language is going to remain a global lingua franca with the rise of AI. Also considered was the language classroom, where AI software and instructional technologies are being used to build a cognitive connection between Pinyin and Hanzi. The implication of convergence of these studies highlights that perhaps with the rise of AI and increased incorporation of technology into the language classroom that we are living in, an unprecedented linguistic and culturally conceptualized world. And this can perhaps prove overwhelming for both students and teachers. Together, we will need to navigate the future and in ways that are beneficial for all. And part of this will be the need to be able to identify those educational options that can best support our teaching and learning. From integrated AI-based applications that use machine translation and natural language processing to social networking site use, the incorporation of data-driven learning and the use of big data in lesson planning, it looks to be an exciting and fast-changing future ahead. So that's the end of my presentation today, and I welcome questions and I would like to engage you for a discussion. Thank you.